Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to another session of the Hindu News Analysis, and I'm Shyam Kago taking up the analysis for 6th January 2026. Now, before I start the session, please do let me know that I'm audible and visible for all of you. Those present in the session, please confirm. Thanks a lot. Let's start the discussion then. So, in today's session, I've taken a total of 10 articles. Of those, 8 are from the daily edition of Hindu newspaper, one from Indian Express, and another one from Hindustan Times. This has been done in order to ensure that the discussion will be comprehensive. You'll be aware of all the current affairs articles, and this will help you in answering questions in prelims as well as mains examination. If you're liking the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you are yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Before I start with the first article, here is a very important announcement. Those who are preparing for the Civil Services Examination 2027, we generally recommend 12 to 15 months of preparation, which means this is the right time period for you to start preparing. And right now, all our courses are available at a discounted price of 60%. Check out the details by clicking on the link provided in the description. Whatever be the price mentioned in the website, use the code IAS English and you will receive the 60% discount. And once you use the code and subscribe for the time period of 18 months or above, you also become eligible for CSE Assure. Do not miss out the opportunity. Let me start with the first article. India's window of opportunity in Latin America. Now, in the recent times, there has been a lot of discussion that has been happening regarding the interference of United States of America in Venezuela. There has been criticism which has been leveled by multiple countries against this kind of an activity conducted by USA. Very recently, there were discussions held within the United Nations also. But one thing that was actually missing in the sense which was subdued, was the response given by the government of India. And this is nothing new, by the way. The government of India gave the same kind of a response when there was Russian attack on Ukraine, when there were attacks on Iran, bombings were conducted in Iran, etc. The argument here is, although there's a criticism saying that the United States of America's government has violated multiple international laws, multiple regulations have been violated. How can they conduct an invasion? Although the government of USA says it's not an invasion, it's not a small matter for one authority to send its forces to another country and basically kidnap or airlift the president of another country, and that too coming from another continent, by the way. So issue here is, there is a criticism stating that the government of India has not given a strong response. But if you look at the policy of government of India, right now the government of India basically follows the concept of multi-alignment strategy. Correct? I'm pretty sure all of you heard of this multiple times in the last 1.5 year. Multi-alignment strategy. In addition to this, the government of India is also following something called as a strategic silence approach. What is the basic idea here? If you look at the situation, or let's say the event where Russia attacked Ukraine, the government of India basically stated that there has to be a peace has to be given a chance. India is always on the side of the peace. It's not that India is not taking any kind of a side. In fact, the same statement was repeated by the Prime Minister very recently, where he stated there is a criticism that India is not taking a side. But he said India is always on the side of the peace, which means we are taking a side. So argument is, why is the government approach like this? Why is the foreign policy approach like this in the context of India? And is there any window, any kind of an opportunity that India has to use now in the Latin America with whatever is happening in the, right, let's say in this particular group of countries right now? Let's decode these particular points. Point number one, like I said, government of India generally follows the concept of a multi-alignment as well as strategic silence. The reason being is, Government of India has to protect its own interest. And when I say its own interest, the government of India always says, for example, in the context of buying Russian crude, in the context of buying Russian crude, although there was a pressure from multiple sources, multiple sides, that government of India should cut down, should stop buying the Russian crude. The government of India basically stated, whoever is going to sell the crude oil at the lowest price to me, that is my interest. In order to protect my interest, I will align my policy in that particular angle or in that particular respect. So the argument is one, to protect its own interest. And second, whether you like it or don't like it, there is always one argument or one policy that the government has to be worried. That is basically the partners, the strategic partners, the trading partners, right, or the defense partners, etc. If you look at the relationship between India and USA, are we having a trade relations? Yes. Are we having relations in terms of defense partnerships? Again, yes. Look at India and Russia. Are we having trade relations? Yes. Are we having relations in terms of defense equipments, that is, imports from Russia? Are they happening into India? Again, the argument is yes. So whenever you are expected to give a reply, you are expected to give certain statements regarding the policies of other countries, you are also worried about whether your statement will hurt the relations that you already have with these particular countries. And that can be very much observed in the current situation. For example, USA, right, basically conducted this kind of an activity in Venezuela. What do you expect India to say? You want India to respond very critically to this particular activity of USA. If they criticize this activity or if they come out with a very strong statement, like China has done, like Russia has done, because China and Russia have certain stake in Venezuela. But the government of India is worried about what these kind of statements will do to the existing relations, which are already on a lower side, which are fraught with the recent policy announcements which have been done by the government of USA. For example, the government of USA has announced 50% tariffs on India. And yesterday, there was also a statement given by Mr. Donald Trump on Air Force One, where he stated, if I want, I can increase it to any number. And beside him or alongside him, there was a USA senator as well, Mr. Lindsey Graham, who said he can pick up any percentage up to 500% and slap these particular tariffs on any country that will conduct trade or imports oil from Russia. So when this kind of a right relationship, which is already fraught with right so many volatilities in the last 1 year, you if you provide any kind of a criticism, and if it is a president like Mr. Donald Trump, they may not take it very lightly. They might basically double down on certain policies and hurt right Indian relations with USA. That's a second very important point. Third very important point, the proximity to India. Whether this particular country, whether this is very nearer to India in terms of physical presence, whether this is within the neighborhood, whether is it far away, that also plays a very important role. Like I said earlier, in Venezuela, there are certain interests of Russia as well as China. What kind of interest? There are defense relations which are existing between both of these particular countries. That is, Russia, right, has provided certain assistance to Venezuela. China has provided loans, has provided technology, has provided defense equipments to Venezuela. So these two countries have certain stake or interest in Venezuela. Same cannot be said for India. Right? Why I'm saying the same cannot be said? First and foremost, in terms of physical presence, these two are far apart. Right? The Venezuela and India, these two are very far apart. And more importantly, if you look at the overall trade situation, how much is the total trade between India and with these particular group of countries? I'm not just talking about Venezuela, I'm talking about group of countries, that is South America. You will be surprised to know that it is hardly around $50 billion. It is hardly around 50 billion. In fact, it is much lesser than that, around 45 to 46 billion dollars. And China has an overall trade of more than $500 billion with this particular group of countries. And a very small country such as Singapore, it conducts a higher amount of trade compared to India with these particular group of countries. But having said so, it doesn't mean that there are no trade relations existing. There are trade relations existing. And that is where the author or the writer simply says India has to take up this particular opportunity and leverage this particular opportunity to revamp its relations with the South American countries or Latin countries. Right? This is a window of opportunity for India. What do I mean by this? If you put together the GDP of all these particular countries, you will get a GDP of around 5.5 trillion dollars. $5.5 trillion. And that is not a small market. India has to tap this particular opportunity. India has to take up this opportunity, revamp its relations. Because historically, when you observe India's relations with certain group of countries, take for example Africa. In recent times, we have shown more interest to conduct trade, to tap into the resources which are present in Africa. And this particular feature of presence of resources or the trade market is not just applicable to Africa, same can be extended even to the Latin American countries. Lot of these particular countries are very rich in resources. For example, Venezuela, it is rich in crude oil. It has kept on recurring. This particular point has kept on recurring multiple times now. But in addition to crude oil, there are other minerals also which are very richly present in this particular region. So it is the right time for Government of India to revamp its relations with this particular group of countries. That is the essence of the article. Because listen to me very carefully. The government of USA, right, there are divergent statements. The president simply says they are going to run the country. They are going to operate the country through the government. But on the other side, the right secretary of the state simply says no, no, no. Right, the government of USA will not run Venezuela. Right, there is already a government which is there. We will provide the inputs, etc. Whatever the situation might be, basically the argument is there will be a lot of impact on the recent activities conducted by USA in this particular region. There will be a lot of changes in terms of approach towards USA for these particular countries or by these particular countries, because the president of USA yesterday has threatened other countries also. For example, he raised the issues or the problems that are happening in Colombia as well. He said Colombia is also a very sick country. The person heading Colombia is also a very sick person, etc. So there will be a change in attitude towards right how they look at USA. And right now, USA and India are negotiating a trade deal. So this becomes a window of opportunity for India to look into this particular group of countries, Latin American countries, revamp its operations, revamp its relations. Right? Everybody is okay with the discussion. Rest of the things are same. The presence of Russia, China, the national security policy, revamped national security policy of USA, how it wants to focus on Western Hemisphere, reduce, right, basically the presence of no, reduce the presence or the importance of Chinese investments in the region, Russian presence in the region, etc. etc. Rest of the things, you have heard it umpteen times, no point in discussing the same thing. But this was something new which was right basically pitching the idea of India's presence in this particular region. Okay, right, so these are certain points. Now please take up this particular question. I've given you two questions. One is specifically applicable to what is happening in Latin American countries, and one question overall. Question number one, descriptive question by the way. The changes taking place in South America provides an opportunity for India to reshape its relations with the region. Elaborate the statement, 150 words, a 10 marker question. There is one more question that I've given, which is an overarching question. Overarching in the sense, it's not just focused on the, right, let's say Latin American countries. It is focused on the foreign policy which has been followed by government of India. Pragmatism, not ideology, defines India's contemporary foreign policy. right? The pragmatism, not ideology, defines India's contemporary foreign policy, right? So this is one more question. Please pick up either one of them. If you ask me, please pick up both of them, because you might feel both are one and the same, but no, both are not one and the same. One is specifically talking about what is happening in last 1 week, and the second one is talking about the overall foreign policy which has been followed by government of India in the last 3 to 4 years. Okay, so two questions for you to practice. Please practice mains answer writing. Now let me check how many of you are doing mapping as well. Let me see how many of you are right practicing mapping. Venezuela shares its borders with Brazil, Colombia, Guyana, Peru, Bolivia. Right? Which is the right option? Does it share with only one? 1, 2, and 3, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Which is the right option? Lot of you are saying option B. One person has given option 1. Okay. Please check it. Please check it. Okay. Now, those who are right basically fence sitters, basically those people who are waiting for me to give the answer, because you are worried if I give the wrong answer, he might simply call out my name and simply say, please check your answer. I'll be humiliated in the right, let's say class, etc. Don't worry. I've got you covered here. Please look at the map. Please look at the map. Right, this is the country Venezuela, which is there in the discussion now. Correct? This is the country. Now, this particular country shares border with Colombia. This is a right one country. Second country that shares border with this country is Brazil, and the third one is Guyana. The third one is Guyana. So please remember, there are three countries which are sharing the border with the country Venezuela. And not just this, since I've opened up the map, right? Have a look at these particular points as well. Brazil is one of the countries within the BRICS group of countries. That should be very much evident by now. All of you should be aware of it. But in addition to this, India also has PTAs. Have you heard of the term PTA? India also has PTAs, preferential trade agreements. Preferential trade agreements, not FTAs. FTA is a larger trade agreement. It covers more or most of the trade. PTA. India has PTA. One PTA is with Chile. Everybody can see this particular country, and it should not be new to you if you are already preparing for 2026. Why? In geography, you would have come across the right this particular continent in the context of El Nino, La Nina, etc. So Chile, India has a PTA with Chile, and India also has a PTA with Mercosur. Right? Please remember all of this. India also has right PTA with Mercosur. Mercosur basically has the countries such as Argentina, right? Argentina is there, Brazil is there, right? Paraguay is there, Uruguay, right? And Chile, right? So these are some of the countries which are part of Mercosur, right? So please be very careful. These are the kind of questions which can be asked in the preliminary examination. So one person who said, sir, I'm waiting for you to give the key answer. The key answer is three countries, right? Brazil, Colombia, and Guyana. Option B is the right option. Done? Okay, let's go forward now. Next article, right? Editorial. Hierarchy of roles. Delhi riots. The Supreme Court of India has rejected the bail petition of two people who are accused by the way, in the Delhi riots case 2020. Now, what are the important points? Should you remember the names of the accused as well as co-accused? Don't waste your time. Out of 7 people, what the Supreme Court of India has done is, it has divided the 7 accused into 2 groups, 2 and 5. Is the first point clear? It has divided these particular accused into 2 groups, right? That is 2 and 5. The Supreme Court simply says, all the people who are accused of, right, basically causing riots in Delhi, cannot be treated the same way under UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. That basically deals with provisions which deals with, right, let's say the terrorist activities. So argument is, all the accused cannot be treated in the same way. So what the Supreme Court of India has done? It has introduced the idea of a hierarchy. The 7 people have been divided into 2 groups, 2 and 5. The 5 co-accused have been given bail. Simple. The 5 co-accused have been given bail. And the remaining 2 people, their bail has been denied. Their bail application has been denied, but the Supreme Court also has stated if they want to apply for a bail again, they can apply after 1 year. Right? 2 conditions are there. One of the condition is they can apply for a bail after 1 year. So what is the issue here? Right? And why there's a criticism as well. Let's understand both the sides of the coin. And you please don't do a PhD on all of it. Understand the concept, important points, and go forward. The Supreme Court of India says, prima facie, I repeat, prima facie, whatever has been communicated to the Supreme Court by, right, let's say the government, by the representative of the government, it looks like these 2 people were the main, right, let's say the accused. That is, these 2 were central to the plans which were formulated. The, right, let's say these were the 2 key people who made plans, who were strategic in their presence, who decided when the riots should happen, when the protest should take place, at what time the protest should take place, etc., etc. Whereas the remaining 5 are merely facilitators. These are merely the facilitators. So, citing this particular issue, the Supreme Court of India has given the bail for 5 co-accused and denied the bail for 2 accused. This is point number 1. Point number 2, right? Important point to note here is that right now, right, this particular case, the trial is yet to start. The trial of this particular case at the trial court level, the trial is yet to start. Right? There is a delay in beginning or the starting the trial, and it is stated that there are 700 witnesses. There are 700 witnesses, and right, the process of right investigating or right hearing the side of the witnesses is still happening. So until unless this particular procedure is over, these 2 accused who are the main perpetrators, according to the Supreme Court, should not be given bail. Right? Or after 1 year, they can apply for bail. So this is basically the order, gist of the order which has been issued by Supreme Court. Now, why there is a criticism? Right? Some political parties have praised the Supreme Court. Some political parties have raised a concern, criticized the Supreme Court. Right? Let's understand the side here. That is why there's a criticism. The criticism is because, one, why is the Supreme Court simply stating that they can apply for a bail after 1 year? Is there any argument which is rational, which will simply say after 1 year they will become eligible for bail? Because the Supreme Court of India very often has granted bail in many instances and has stated that bail is the norm. Is it okay? The Supreme Court itself has stated that bail is the norm. So in many cases, when Supreme Court says bail is the norm, why not apply the same argument in the case of this bail petition? And moreover, these particular 7 people, or forget about 7 people because 5 of them have been given bail, the remaining 2 people, they have already spent more than 5 years in the jail. So why not grant bail? Because the 5 years have been spent, they have spent 5 years. And where is the rationality in deciding, let's say 6th year should be the right time period to grant a bail? Because they have been asked to apply for a bail after 1 more year. So there is also criticism associated with this particular Supreme Court order. And one more issue or one more criticism is that if the trial court is yet to start, despite filing multiple charge sheets, despite taking so many, let's say number of days, etc., if the trial court is yet to start the hearing, if the list of the witnesses is not yet complete, etc., why not take up this particular issue of delay of starting the procedure and issue a bail, give a bail to these 2 people as well? So these are some of the criticisms that have been leveled against this particular Supreme Court order. Beyond this, please don't waste your time in reading into all of this, the 140-page judgment of the Supreme Court. Please don't waste your time. Done? So these are certain important points associated with the editorial. Third one, of the guardrails. There is some discussion that has happened in the context of Grok. If you remember yesterday, I had taken one article from Indian Express. In yesterday's discussion, I had made one discussion from article of Indian Express that was associated with Grok. Right? And what was the issue there? Issue was simple. Grok, or let's say the company X, has issued or released a new kind of a tool wherein Grok can be given a prompt, right, to change, to remove, to eliminate, right, or basically make changes to photographs. And the concern I said was many of the people are misusing or abusing this particular tool, wherein the people are giving a prompt to the Grok and simply stating or asking Grok to, right, let's say, change the photos into obscene content. And in multiple cases, this particular photo has been circulated online. And in many cases, the photos of children, right, babies have been taken to make certain obscene content. And I said the government of India has issued a directive to Grok asking Grok to make changes and give reply to government of India. That was basically what I discussed yesterday. Now, what is this article discussing? Apart from that, what is this particular article discussing? The article basically states that there is a need for the government to take action here, not just on the company which is providing this kind of a tool, which is allowing the tool to be abused, but not just on the company, but also on the users. Right? For example, I said yesterday, who is at fault here? Is it the intermediary, that is the company which has allowed the tool to be misused, or the people who are misusing? The article argues both are at fault. I repeat, both are at fault here. The company for not having the correct filters, which should have envisaged, which should have seen. There has to be a foresight. Whenever you're introducing a tool, there has to be a foresight. There has to be checks and balances in your system which will ensure the tool will not be misused. So the argument of many of the experts, which was also echoed by the government in the letter that they sent, was the safe harbor rule. Should we start revoking the safe harbor rules here, which are providing protection to the intermediaries? The safe harbor rule, which is mentioned under section 79 of Information Technology Act of 2000, basically provides protection to the intermediaries. That's a platform. The platform is simply providing a space to you. If you paste something which is illegal, if you paste something that is obscene, that is not the fault of the platform, it is your fault. But please understand, the protection that is provided under the safe harbor is not unconditional. I'll repeat the statement. The protection that is provided under the safe harbor is not unconditional. It is a conditional protection. What do you mean by conditional protection? If the government issues an order, you will have to follow the order, take down that particular content. If you fail to abide by the orders, then the safe harbor protection that is given to you will be revoked by the government and you will be open to prosecution. Right? This is one aspect which has been discussed in the article. The second aspect is, can there be any provision under the law which can be revoked or which can be used by the government to find out the people who have abused this particular tool? Right? Let's revoke certain, right, let's say provisions under the law. The people who have posted the obscene content. Because listen to me carefully. Some of you might simply say, sir, the photo circulation, what is the problem with that? The problem is you have used the photo of somebody without their consent. All of you able to understand? You're using the photo of somebody without their consent. And you're not just circulating the original photo. You are morphing the photo. Right? You're simply morphing the photo and you're creating an obscene content. And especially in Indian context, please understand this with Indian context. Because you cannot apply the same societal norms which are there in other countries such as Western economies to India. Because let's say a morphed photo of a girl is getting circulated. Can you imagine the kind of societal pressure the girl will feel? Right? Can you imagine what, right, kind of humiliation the family will feel? Although this is not an original photo, it is a morphed photo. But who will understand that in Indian society? This can even lead to certain outcomes such as people committing suicides out of humiliation. So it has to be applied in the context of Indian societal norms, not the Western society norms. Right? So these are certain important points which have been discussed. And by the way, it's not just the government of India which has been, right, which has issued an order to the company X to take down these particular photos. In fact, European Union, right, remember these particular points. European Union has started investigating into this particular tool of or this kind of outcomes from the platform X. And not just European Union, even Malaysia also has launched a probe. Right? So these are certain very important points associated with the recent issues of the photo morphing in the Grok. Now, please solve the MCQ and tell me the key answer very quickly. Consider the following statements. The safe harbor rules was for the first time introduced in 2022 by amending the IT Act of 2000. The safe harbor rules will provide unconditional protection to the intermediaries. What is the key answer? A lot of you will feel second statement is easy. First statement you will get stuck. Not all of you, right? Let's say some of you. Those who have answered so far are saying option D. Let's start. The safe harbor rules for the first time introduced in 2022. This is incorrect. This is incorrect. IT Act of 2000, Section 79, it was introduced. But with the amendment in 2008 and 9, right, there was a widening of the scope. With IT rules of 2020 and then amendment in 22, 23, right, different forms were introduced or the conditions, etc. were introduced. So first statement is incorrect. The safe harbor rules will provide unconditional protection. This is also incorrect. It's not unconditional, it is a conditional protection. So both the statements are incorrect. Right option for the question will be option D, none of the above statements. Now, let's go forward. Next article, Delhi to raise funds. In the Delhi edition, this was given in the second page. In the Delhi edition, mind you. In other editions, this particular article will be given in different pages. And a lot of the people will ignore this particular article. Why? Their argument is Delhi, right? A very small region, inconsequential in terms of whatever economic activity will happen in Delhi. But, right, I understand this. My suggestion is this is a very important article. This is a very important article. Why? It's not just talking about Delhi, it is talking about certain functions of Reserve Bank of India. It is talking about the functions of Reserve Bank of India. Now, what are the important point? For the first time ever, the Delhi government now will be allowed to issue bonds. I repeat, will be allowed to issue bonds and raise money from the market which they can use to invest in infrastructure projects. Now, what are the important points? Listen to me very carefully. It's an important article. To understand that, you should have certain conceptual clarity. The government of India is allowed to issue instruments in the market which are called as government securities. Simple, government securities. The government securities can have a maturity period of up to 1 year and can also have a maturity period of more than 1 year. More than 1 year. And the instruments which will have a maturity period of up to 1 year, these are called as treasury bills. And those which will have a maturity period of more than 1 year, these are called as dated securities. Dated securities. So far so good. The dated securities are also referred to as government bonds. Now, this is central government. What about the states? The states are not allowed to issue treasury bills. I repeat, the states are not allowed to issue treasury bills, but the states are allowed to issue dated securities or government bonds. But in the context of the state government, this will be referred to as state development loans. State development loans. SDL. So far so good. State development loans. Now come to National Capital Territory of Delhi. National Capital Territory of Delhi. Various other states have signed a memorandum of agreement with RBI. It has to be done under section 21A of RBI Act. Remember all of these particular points. The states and union territories have signed a MOU with RBI under section 21A of RBI Act of 1934. And once you sign this, the rupee public debt now will be managed by Reserve Bank of India. So far so good. Rupee public debt will be managed by the Reserve Bank of India. What is the meaning of it? The states who want to borrow by issuing the state development loans, that activity will be conducted by Reserve Bank of India. Right? The argument is very simple. If a state wants to borrow by issuing a bond, RBI will issue these bonds, collect the money and transfer the money into the account of the state government. Now, what was the problem in the context of National Capital Territory of Delhi? The National Capital Territory of Delhi did not have its own public account. They did not have an independent public account. Right? Their public account was basically overseen and was the part of the union government. Now, union government, by making changes, by announcing change, from 9th January this year, the public account of Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi will be separated from the public account of union government. Is the point clear? Very simple. The public account of NCT, which was part of the union government public account, now will be separated. It will be independent. It will be now under the government of Delhi. With this announcement, which is going to come into force from the 9th January, now the Delhi government has the power to issue the bonds in the market and collect the money or borrow money by issuing the bonds. This is the update, and this is a very important, outcome of this particular article. Is everybody able to understand? Please do let me know in the chat section. Please repeat. Listen to me very carefully. The states issue bonds, borrow money. But who will do the issuance, collection of money and giving it to the state government? Reserve Bank of India. The same for central government also. RBI will sell the bonds, collect the money and transfer the money into the account of either state government if these are state government bonds or central government's account if these are the union government bonds. The Delhi government did not have a separate public account. They did not have a separate public account. Their public account was a part of the union government account itself. Now some of you will be worrying or wondering, in that case, was the Delhi government not allowed to borrow earlier? That's not the case. Have clarity regarding this. Earlier, Delhi government was allowed to borrow, but it was allowed to borrow from NSSF, National Small Savings Fund. National Small Savings Funds. And the problem with borrowing from NSSF is that the rate of interest that the Delhi government would end up paying was very high. The rate of interest they will have to pay was higher. Now, rather than borrowing from NSSF, they will go to the market through RBI. They will sell the state development loans, borrow from the market where the rate of interest will be comparatively lesser. Compared to NSSF, the rate of interest burden on the Delhi government will be lesser. This is important. Please make a note of these particular points. Now, based on the discussion, here is a MCQ. Please solve the MCQ and tell me the key answer, correct answer, very quickly. The union government and the states are allowed to borrow by issuing treasury bills and dated securities. The state government loans are eligible, state development loans, SDLs, are eligible to be used as securities under repo transactions. State development loans qualify for statutory liquidity ratio, SLR. STLs qualify for SLR. STLs are eligible under repo, and the center as well as the states issue dated securities and treasury bills. First statement is incorrect. Those who have given the option, they are saying option B. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement, STLs are eligible to be used as securities under repo transaction. Yes, absolutely true. State development loans qualify for statutory liquidity ratio, SLR. That is also absolutely true. Right, so second statement is correct. Third statement is correct. Right option for the question is option B, only 2. Now, before I go forward to the next article, there is a question asked by Lakshmi. Sir, is it only for Delhi or were there any other? My dear, Delhi. Delhi. This is only for Delhi now. Okay, let's go forward. Iran judiciary chief says no leniency to writers as a demonstrations loom. What is happening in Iran? Because very often when the president of USA gives a statement on India, on Greenland, on Colombia, Venezuela, he will also throw something associated with Iran. He will throw something associated with Iran. In one of the statement he said, if Iran will take any action against writers, if they fire against writers, then USA will not sit quiet. It will also take action against Iran, etc. So to understand what is happening, these are the important points. Listen to me carefully. In Iran, there are a lot of protests which are taking place. The protest actually started on 28th December 2025. 28th December, wherein the protest was very limited in the sense few of the shopkeepers closed, shuttered down their particular shops and started protesting against the policy of the Iranian government. What was their concern? Their concern was the value of Riyal, the national currency. The value of Riyal has lost value against the dollar. And those who are wondering, sir, what is the value of Riyal against the dollar? According to the latest estimates, $1 is equivalent to around 1.4 million Riyals. I'll repeat the statement. $1 is equivalent to around 1.4 million Riyals, which means the currency, this particular currency in the last 1 year has lost huge amount of a value. Almost by 30% or more than 30%, there has been a depreciation, fall of value of Riyal against the dollar. And when you're a small country where there is a lot of economic, let's say inequality already present, lot of pressure on the economic activities, etc., the depreciation of Riyal will make the cost of living higher, will disrupt the economic activities. And that is exactly what happened. The cost of the day-to-day consumables, such as food, clothing, etc., have gone upwards, have gone beyond control, wherein a lot of people are not able to get the day-to-day requirements even after spending their monthly salaries. So this actually led to protest. Initially, it started with the traders or the merchants, and now it has snowballed, and the protests are being seen across multiple provinces in Iran. According to one of the news reports, out of 31 provinces which are present in Iran, the protests are seen in 23 provinces. In 23 of the provinces, there have been protests. Now, the government of Iran simply says we are sympathetic to the plight of the people. We understand the problem of the people. But the argument here is why the situation has gone this much worse. What has happened? The economy of Iran has been crippled by the sanctions imposed by the European countries as well as the American sanctions. The Western countries have imposed multiple sanctions. The sanctions have been imposed on trading, exports from Iran. Secondary sanctions have been imposed. The banks or the companies which have trade relations with Iran, they have been threatened with secondary sanctions. With these kind of sanctions, in order to keep the nuclear activities of Iran under control, the economic activities have been hampered. And that is visible in the depreciation as well as the inflation that is happening. The people are being pushed into poverty. According to the latest estimates, the inflation in this particular country is more than 42%. More than 42%. We are worried when the inflation rate goes beyond 4%. There the inflation rate is 42%. So there are multiple protests which are happening in Iran. Now, in order to quell the protest, in order to bring it under control, the government of Iran has announced a new policy. What is the new policy? Day before yesterday, they have made an announcement stating that going forward, monthly certain amount of money will be transferred into the bank account of the people. Certain amount will be transferred into the bank account of the people. Using this, they can purchase the goods which are required for day-to-day consumption. Is everybody okay? To reduce the impact of the protest or rising discontent, they have announced, right, money will be transferred. How much? Right, their announcement is basically around $7. Around $7 per month. $7 per month will be transferred, and in the local currency it will become 1 million tomans. 1 million tomans would be transferred monthly into the bank account of the people, using which they can purchase the day-to-day, right, goods that they want to consume. So these are certain important things that are happening in Iran. Right? So let's wait and see what will happen to the protest going forward. Let's go to the next article. Coast Guard adds pollution control vessel to its fleet. The new vessel is named ICGS Samudra Pratap. Now, what is the importance of this? This has been developed at Goa Shipyard. Goa Shipyard Limited. This is point number 1. Please remember this. The length of the ship or the vessel is 115 meters. And those who are wondering, sir, why are you mentioning the length? This will become, with this particular length and width, this will become the biggest vessel in the Coast Guard. Is everybody able to understand? This will become the first vessel or the largest vessel, not the first one, the largest vessel, right, in the Coast Guard. Right? That is important. Please remember this. Third important point, this particular vessel has been equipped with certain technology, right? Using which, for example, there is a laboratory which has been set up on board, using which the government now says, that is the defense minister in the statement has stated, using which we can quickly find out if there is any issue, right, or if there any, right, contaminant which is present in the water. For example, oil spillage, the kind of contaminant which is there, the kind of, right, let's say the contents which are there, to what extent the damage can be done, etc. So this is, right, basically going to work to enforce India's exclusive economic zone, because a lot of times we hear the other countries, right, let's say the ships or the vessels coming into the exclusive economic zones or the conflicts arising, etc. To enforce India's exclusive economic zone. Also to protect the ecosystem, the sea ecosystem, that is such as corals, etc. Right? So these are certain important points. In addition to this, this is, right, indigenously designed. This is indigenously designed. And 60% of the components which are used for the ship, 60% of the components are sourced from the domestic market itself. These are sourced from the domestic market itself. In addition to this, right, if you want to remember, there are other pollution controlling vessels, PCVs, the pollution control vessels. This is one of them, ICGS Samudra Pratap. In addition to this, you can also remember others. Right? For example, we have the Samudra Prahari. Samudra Prahari is there. Right? There is also Samudra One Vijay. Samudra One Vijay. Right? So other PCVs are also there. Please remember the names. Can be asked in the prelims examination. Done? Now, please solve the MCQ very quickly. Consider the following statements regarding ICGS Samudra Pratap. It is the largest ship in the Coast Guard fleet. It is designed and developed under JV, joint venture. JV is joint venture, right, with Russia. It is developed by Cochin Shipyard Limited. This should not be difficult. And now also some of you are saying option A and some of you are saying option B. Why this kind of a confusion? It is the largest ship in the Coast Guard fleet. Yes, Coast Guard. Underline the term Coast Guard. Okay. It is designed and developed under JV with Russia. Right. This is incorrect. Indigenously designed. It is developed by Cochin Shipyard Limited. Incorrect. Goa. I've written that particular point as well. And some of you are saying option B. Right. What is the issue here? So much of confusion. So first statement is correct. Right option for the question is option A. Only one of the three statements is correct. Now before I go forward, this is my question to all of you. The Coast Guard functions under which ministry? Please do let me know the answer in the chat section, and those who are watching the recorded sessions, do let me know in the comment section. Okay, next one, important article. I've taken this from Hindustan Times today. UK bans junk food ads. UK has become the first country. UK has become the first country to ban the ads associated with junk foods. Online, there will be a complete ban. Listen to me. Online, there is a complete ban. And TV ads, if there are TV ads, these will be banned before 9 p.m. These will be banned before 9 p.m. Some of you are saying, regarding the question that I've asked earlier, some of you are saying Ministry of Home Affairs, some of you are saying Ministry of Defense. Please be careful. Please be careful. What is the right option? Please be careful. Okay. So UK has become the first country to impose a ban on the junk food ads. And this is not just associated with UK. You can use this as a, right, let's say, case study to give this as a way forward, to recommend this as one of the way forward in the coming days. Because I hope you understand, India is also having very high instances of consumption of junk food. And consumption of junk food is associated with the diabetes. And in case of India, India houses one of the largest number of diabetic people. Now, why has the government of UK done? Because some of you will be thinking, sir, what is the logic of banning before 9 p.m.? The ban has been imposed keeping in mind the children. The ban has been imposed keeping in mind the children, not the adult population, but the children. Because the concern that has been raised is, there is a large chunk of the population within the children, more than a 1/5 of these particular children, before starting the primary schooling, they are already obese. Before starting the primary schooling, they are obese. And by the time they reach the high school, etc., this particular number increases to more than a third of the total, right, children population. So the concern is that children are being influenced when they see these particular ads. And those who will basically say, sir, how will the ads influence the children, etc. If I basically hold up, I'll just give you an example. Not to push the product and no. Just a second. Okay. So there was a disruption. Don't worry. And I'm not endorsing this particular brand. I'm not a brand ambassador as well. So if I show you this particular product right now, don't you think some of you, or let's say most of you, will be tempted, right, to take up a chocolate which is lying in front of you, open it and start eating? Right? I'm pretty sure, may not be all of you, but some of you will feel tempted, right? So if you can get tempted, apply the logic to children. Apply the logic to children. Right? The children, when they observe these TV advertisements, right, or even online, where the burgers, right, very nice burgers with lot of cheese, French fries, etc., are being thrown at their particular faces in the form of pictures, etc., or the advertisements, etc., obviously the children will be influenced and they will end up consuming a lot of it. And that contributes to the ill health, right, or the problems of obesity for the children. So the government of UK now has decided that before 9 p.m. these particular ads will not be run on TV, and online, right, online there will be a permanent ban on the ads associated with junk foods. Now to the questions of some of you, right, who will be thinking, sir, who will decide what is a junk food? How they will decide what is a junk food? The government has given a certain formula for it. That is basically how much is the content, right, that is associated with the high fat, salt or sugar. You must have come across HFSS. High fat, salt and sugar. And if a particular product has a very high fat, salt and sugar, a lot of these particular refined products, processed, highly processed products, these are very high in HFSS. So the government simply says, we will make a formula, we'll create a scale. If, right, let's say the healthy calories in this particular product are higher, and if healthy calories, right, in this particular product are lesser, but mainly it is consisting of the calories from HFSS, We will decide this, or we will classify this as a junk food, and we will not allow the ads to be run right on the TV. Right, so this is basically the decision of the government. Please make a note of it. This can be right given as an example. How do you control the issue of obesity? Please mention this as an example. Okay, next, Trump asserts India cut Russian oil to please him. Right, in the statement that he gave on right the Air Force One yesterday, he said, Mr. Modi, PM Modi is a very good man, right? And the government of India has purposely cut down the imports of crude oil because they wanted to make Mr. Donald Trump happy. Why not? The objective of government of India is to make the president of USA happy, to keep president happy. Right? The government of India doesn't have anything to do, no social welfare, no other thing, just to keep the president of USA happy. Now, come to the point here. So, the president of USA simply says the government of India has taken measures and cut down the crude oil imports. And look at the article which appeared in Hindu newspaper yesterday. This was the article which appeared in Hindu newspaper yesterday itself. It was there in the first page. What is the summation of the information given in this particular article? The imports of crude oil in India have reached the highest in 7 months for the month of November 2025. For the month of November 2025, the imports of crude oil into India have reached the highest in the last 7 months. In fact, now the imports of crude oil, out of the total crude oil imported by India, imports from Russia account for around 35%. Around 35% is from Russia. This is the latest data, by the way. This is the latest data. But right, one more very important point to note here is that the imports of crude oil from USA have increased. Right, the import of crude oil from USA into India have increased. According to the latest data, the imports of crude oil from USA have accounted for around 13% of the total crude oil imports done by India, which right makes the total imports of crude oil from Russia as well as USA 48%. Almost half of the crude oil that India is importing right now is from Russia as well as USA. These are certain, right, let's say data points. Please make a note of them. And when I say note, please don't start writing it down. Once the session is over, the PPT will be uploaded on the right Telegram channel. Download it, use the data. Let's go forward. The NGT has issued notice to the central government, UP, various local level administrations, that is Agra Municipality, Agra Development Authority. They have been issued with the notices by the Green Tribunal, right? National Green Tribunal. Why? What is the issue? In 2025, there was an order issued by the Supreme Court of India. Right? There was an order issued by the Supreme Court. What was the order? In the radius of 5 kilometers from Taj Mahal. In the radius, they use the term aerial radius. In the aerial radius of 5 kilometers from the Taj Mahal, that is a monument Taj Mahal, if there is any tree which has to be cut, they will require the permission from the Supreme Court first. They should approach the court, get the order, and only then they will be allowed to cut the tree. And the Supreme Court basically stated, doesn't matter what is the number of trees. What is the number of trees doesn't matter. First take the permission and then cut the trees. Now, an individual has approached National Green Tribunal, and the statement, or let's say the complaint, simply says different authorities, right? Agra Municipal Authority, Agra Development Authority, right? And for that matter, many of these individuals, the companies which are involved, private sector companies which are there in different projects, etc. The complaint is that they are cutting down the trees. Either they are simply cutting down the trees without any approval from the court, or else they are installing certain cement infrastructure or certain cement blocks very nearer to the trunk of the trees which are centuries old, nearer to the roots of the trees which are centuries old. And if this is continued, right, basically these particular trees, right, might die off over a period of time. Right? So the argument is this is against the order issued by the Supreme Court of India. Now, taking up this particular issue, the National Green Tribunal has issued an order, has issued a notice to the Union government, the UP government as well. And this is basically an update. Please make a note of this. The last article, just for sake of certain factual data which you can use to write a mains answer. The police in different states have increased their social media monitoring. There is an annual report which has been published, and from this particular annual report, certain data set has been given to you. Don't worry about the complete article, focus on certain important points. What are the important points? In different states, the number of social media cells, the police department setting, social media cells has increased. In fact, earlier there was no concept of a separate social media cell, right? It was generally taken as a part of a cyber security, right? Let's say department itself. But with, right, different type of technologies arising, with different types of crimes being committed using social media, etc. Now across India, different states, they have set up, right, multiple number or multiple units of social media cells. How many are present? According to this particular report, the number was 262 back in the year 2020, and by 2024, this has increased to 365. So the number of social media cells have increased. Who will keep a wiggle? Who will keep a watch on what is happening on social media? Right? In addition to this, the number of drones which have been procured for monitoring, for taking care of law and order, etc., the number of drones which have been procured by the police department also has increased. These are the just two important points. Beyond this, how much state has how many social media cells, etc. Don't worry about that. UPSC will not ask questions regarding that. So these are certain important points from the article. So these are the 10 articles, concepts, questions associated with the 10 articles that I wanted to discuss with you people in today's session. If you have liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you are yet to join our YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. And before I wind up or take up your question, yesterday I've uploaded one video where I've discussed the issue of drinking water crisis in India. A lot of you will look at the articles as to what is happening in Gandhinagar, what is happening in Indore. You will only read about what is being reported in the news and you feel that is the only thing that is relevant to exams. Absolutely no. In fact, what is being reported in the news articles may not be even asked by UPSC. Because what is the structural issue regarding the drinking water crisis that can be relevant for your mains examination. So I've made a video, 15-minute video on that. Right? I know all of you are busy with your UPSC preparation. It's an important topic. Please do watch the video. Any issue that you have, any doubts or concerns you have regarding today's discussion, please do let me know. Banking marathon, I'm planning this Friday. Satya Prakash Raj. This Friday, most probably it will happen this Friday. Right? The intimation will be given to you. Please don't worry. Any questions? Any doubts? Done then. Thank you. Take care. Have a great day. See you tomorrow sharp at 10 a.m.